everyone, my name is REDRUP, you're listening to the It's Not a Phase podcast, and on this episode I'm joined by Lauren Bell and Adam Green, who are the organisers of the new independent festival, Lume Fest. We discuss how the idea of Lume Fest came about, the importance of diversity and equality in their lineup, ensuring that the festival is affordable, tips for those looking to organise a festival of their own, and loads more.
Now, if you enjoyed this or any other episode of the podcast and you want to show your support, there's a few ways that you can do that. Number one, leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to this. It takes just a few seconds and it really does help. Number two, share this on your social media, whether that be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Or number three, if you want to go the extra mile, you can pay a little bit each month to join the Patreon, and in return you'll get access to episodes early along with some of the perks, or you can pick up some merch from the store. All the links to that and the podcast socials where you can follow us can be found at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. And now with all that out of the way, let's jump right into this week's episode of It's Not a Phase. What's up everybody? Thank you for joining me on this episode of It's Not a Phase, where I'm joined by Lauren Bell and Adam Green, who are from the team that have put together Lume Fest. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, really good. Thank you.
Good stuff. So before we get into like a deep dive of all things Lume Fest, I just want to talk a little bit about you two guys first. So what is it that you do in the industry away from Lume Fest itself?
So my job roles are quite varied. So I'm an artist manager. I do a lot of tour management as well. And over the years, I've done quite a bit of promoting of shows. So yeah, it's varied really. Every week for me looks very different. At the moment, I've got a lot of touring work going on, but it could change again in the next couple of months.
Me wise, yeah, I do a bit of booking agency work, do a lot of like sort of booking bands on shows across the UK, and then there was more the sort of a promotion sort of stuff, but that's how I got into it, was really promoting my own events for a couple of years. I've been doing it for about 10 years, promoting shows. So yeah, just on the odd occasion, promote shows across sort of like the UK, do like specialising in gig swaps. And yeah, that's how we sort of like come together really. That's how we sort of met.
Kind of joined forces basically.
Yeah.
So how is it that you got into the positions you are in the industry? Like what steps did you take to kind of do what you're doing now? And when was it that you kind of realized, you know what, I do want to become a part of the music industry and make my stamp on it?
For me, it was from quite a young age, probably from like early teen years. I used to go to a lot of shows growing up. I was quite involved in fan culture, and coming out of school, I knew that I wanted to be in music, but it was one of those things where my family were like, it's not a career path. It's not something that you're ever going to make money from. You need to have a real job, basically, because they don't understand anything to do with music. So I actually became a veterinary nurse, and that's something that I went into and qualified. And as soon as I qualified, I moved away from my hometown, moved to London, and went straight into music. So basically, I was trying to keep my family happy whilst also sort of having in the back of my mind, okay, I'm going to do this qualification, but then I'm actually going to go and figure out what it is in music that I want to do. So moving to London, I started with the show promotion first and just tried to find my way of getting an in. So meeting the right people, getting a few different job opportunities, and then went to BIM and studied a music business course. And yeah, it's all just gone from there, really.
Quite a changing career from being a vet.
Massively, yeah, massively. But it just really wasn't for me. And I knew that from the start, really. So I'm happy with where I'm at now and that I've been able to get myself to this point.
Mine's a bit of a crazy story, actually, because I used to be in a band that was like around, called The Cares. We were around for about sort of 3 to 4 years. And we actually played at a venue in Sheerness called The Ivy, which just had so many memories. It was just basically a guy that turned it around from like this little pub to this actually music venue where everyone used to go on the Isle of Sheppey. And yeah, we ended up doing a gig once, and it was just like we brought all of our friends through the door, and it literally was just so packed. And we basically gave him the confirmation that they would turn it into a music venue. So I got quite close with the actual promoter there. And then I think it was the age of 16, I was running around doing the running job for him. And he was like, "Oh, you ever been a runner?" I was like, "Absolutely not. I'd have no idea what that entails." And he was like, "Right, here's a list of the rider. Go and fetch a rider." And it was like me going to Tesco's, getting some grapes, getting some like sandwiches, sort of giving them the bands like that sort of stuff. And it was more the case of just building up from that. And then yeah, went into sort of running my own shows and then sort of just learning on the job, really. I mean, went to like college and studied music, like business and diplomas and all that sort of stuff. But until you get hands-on, I'm a very hands-on person. I like to fail to succeed. And I think Lauren will probably agree with this. But when you're doing something and you're hands-on, you always sort of go into it head first and you learn the most amount of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think you've just got to sort of take it by the hand and just sort of go, do you know what? If this fails, it'll be a lesson I learn. And then you take that on to the next thing. And yeah, you just go from there. I mean, first couple of bands I booked were saying this was absolutely mental, but I saw Mallory Knox at like the Ivy in Sheerness, and I think the promoter I was working with at the time paid, I think, about 30 to 50 quid for them, and there was like 3 people in the room. It was absolutely mental. So you've gone from like them shows to like now where I've booked Electric Six, Red Jumpsuit Operators. So you sort of take that step up. You sort of deal with like the bigger bands. So I think I've just gone from that, really. So it's just sort of all naturally fell into place, but you learn every single bit of like your sort of job role the more you do it, don't you? So yeah, I think that's how you sort of get into it. Yeah.
I think a lot of the industry is kind of like you've got even though you go on these courses and stuff, and like you said, Lauren, you went to BIM and stuff, and having all these qualifications and stuff is great. But I mean, personally as well, I think a lot of the lessons that you learn of what is right and what is wrong to do is done through experience. Like, people say like mistakes are the greatest teacher, and that is very true in this industry, I think.
Could not agree more. I so live by that as well. Like, if you want to go and do something, do it. Just learn on the job.
Yeah, I'm still learning all the time as well. Like this tour that I've just come off of, there was so many things on that I hadn't done before. I think really small things as well. Like, so the tour I've just done, I was tour managing an artist called Lynx, and his setup, I don't know whether you've ever seen what kind of stuff he does, but he's got backing dancers, and we had this whole stage set with a sofa, and it was like a living room basically. And part of my job role every day was to set that up on stage and do all the line checks and stuff and check the track. And it's all just new little things that I hadn't done before with another artist. So I find it really exciting getting to learn by doing it on the job rather than sitting in front of somebody maybe like I would at BIM with them telling me how it should be.
And people learn in different ways, don't they? Like, some people can just read something and they take it in. Some people like visual learners, and like you guys are like learn by actually doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know if Lauren's like me, but like there's little diddy things that you sort of pick up and you go, oh, just want to make that a little bit more professional. So next time you'll go and get, like, for example, like we're getting really excited about wristbands coming through the door for this festival. It's one of those things you just go, oh my God, it's actually happening, it's real. But like originally, normally you're like, ticket sales without the wristbands. So you're like, okay, how can I make it a little bit more professional? Oh, wristbands. And then as soon as you get that through the door, you're like, right, this makes it more professional. You sort of get a bit of buzz from it, and it's quite a kick.
So, yeah, everyone loves a wristband as well. Like me, myself, when I go to festivals, just having that material wristband to take home afterwards, it's like a keepsake. It's really special. So we just thought it was a nice touch for Lume Fest to have that as well.
Yes, it's a good step up, isn't it? Like, it seems like on the grand scheme of things, very little, but a wristband is completely different to someone coming into the door, you like approving the ticket, and I don't know, you put like a stamp on their hand or a permanent mark on or something like that. And I remember like when I was younger, getting all these wristbands and seeing how much I can kind of collect on my wrist until they eventually kind of decay away.
Yeah, I was the same.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I did the same, and I probably kept it on so long that it got so mouldy. I think the Glastonbury one stayed in my hand for at least a good sort of 5-6 months.
Oh god. So. Well, now you're going to get people wearing Lume Fest ones, hopefully for that long, maybe longer, depending on how good quality these wristbands are that you've picked up.
Me and Adam will be wearing ours until next year. Till the second one.
You need flyers to get them off, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what are the kind of respective roles that you two do, to create Lume Fest? Because I think, are there some other people involved beyond you two?
Yeah, we've actually built quite a nice team. We're all really good, and it's been nice having people that Adam and I have been able to lean on. But in terms of what we've done, to start with, we both just kind of sat down and talked about the idea of doing this festival. Adam actually approached me with the idea first. Instantly, I was like, yeah, we're doing this to make this happen. We came up with the idea of doing it in Camden, and we had some different venues in mind. So we started with reaching out to them just to figure out if they were available, if they could do it, and what kind of dates they had available. And from there, our roles have kind of split into Adam does a lot of the design work, so all of the posters that you see, all of the videos and stuff. Adam's fantastic at doing that. He's done all of that kind of stuff. For me, a lot of the job has entailed dealing with booking agents and just getting the band sorted, really. And then we've just built the team around everything that's come from that. So we've got a production manager, an artist liaison manager, and a lot of volunteers and other members of staff like stage managers and things. So yeah, it's all come together really nicely.
It's been a bit of a crazy one, actually, really, because I think when we actually took the plan into action, it was literally us walking into a pub in London, which was the Shakespeare, actually, at Victoria. And I literally sat down with Laura and I said, I've actually got this massively crazy idea. And we both sat down and just went, a festival, like this needs to happen. And there was a load of artists that we sort of, and this was the crazy thing about it, really, was we both had this, or I had the vision and Lauren was like, let's do it then. There was sort of that connection of like, someone's got the vision, someone's got the action to do it. And I remember we wrote down, this was the most mental and craziest thing about it. We wrote down a list of the bands we wanted on this lineup. And the most successful part about it is I think there was probably 4 or 5 we didn't get, or maybe even less than that. And the majority of the bands that we actually wanted on our primarily actual first ever lineup list that we put together, we've actually got the majority of the bands that we wanted, which has actually been incredible. And yeah, it's just gone from there, really. I mean, on the first day we met and talked about the festival, we literally went to all the venues in Camden on that day. We got so excited about it that we literally just were like, right, we're going to go into it head first. I knew people that Lauren didn't know exactly, but they were all in the music industry. And then Lauren knew people that I didn't know. So we just sort of clashed heads. And it's just, honestly, it's been the most smoothest of journeys, really, of what's actually happened. So, yeah, that's sort of how it's sort of taken up, really.
Yeah, you're so lucky with that lineup thing, because I don't think many festivals, especially for the first year that you're going to be doing the festival, could actually, pull that off. That's like unheard of, I think.
Yeah, we got so lucky with it. Yeah, like having Dreamsday as the headliner as well, that was insane. I think Jessie might have even talked about it when you had them on the podcast recently, where I met her at a Stand Atlantic show last summer, and she was doing merch for them and I was doing merch for the support band, and we were just chatting and she was telling me about how she'd just joined this band that was on hiatus, but she wasn't allowed to tell me who the band was, and I kind of figured it out in my head. And then when I saw it all happening, I just shot her a message and was like, look, we're doing this festival. Don't know really what you guys have got planned for next year, but we'd like to offer you the headline slot. And instantly they were on it, because it's something that they've always wanted to do. And it's somewhere that Jessie's always wanted to play. So for them, it just clicked into place so easily.
Yeah. So when you kind of like speaking about this and putting it together, at what point did it turn from, I know you obviously you just said you were going around asking these venues for like their availability and stuff. At what point did it change from simply an idea to something that was actually going to happen? Because, you've got to kind of get a budget together and stuff like that.
Of course.
I think I can speak to Lauren when we say this. I think when it went up on Instagram, I think we both probably crapped ourselves a little bit, because it was like, this is actually happening now. There's no coming out of this. We've put coming soon. Just that. And I think that's when we actually realised that this is actually happening. I think it was quite scary, to be honest. We both sat there, just looked at each other and went, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it did all happen so quickly though. And you said about the budgeting as well. With me being a tour manager, I feel like budgets are one of my strong points. So we managed to get something together for that really quickly. And Adam and I are actually funding this whole festival ourselves as well for this first year. We've got Signature Brew as one of our sponsors. But they're helping us out with things like riders for the bands. And we just really love the message that they bring on board as well, with helping to promote grassroots and stuff. So it's worked out really well with them. But in terms of funding it, Adam and I are just throwing absolutely everything we've got at it, which is why we're both working so hard at the moment. But yeah, it's all just worked out so well. I couldn't ask for anything better, really.
So no pressure with the finances then, really?
No, we're totally good, honestly. Yeah.
That's
been real good, but I think there was one moment, 1 month, where I was screaming at Lauren because I basically had my car like tyre popped, whole right from my car went. I then had a feeling that turned into like a a crown in my mouth, and it literally, I had about $1,000 coming out of my account at one point. I literally said to Lauren, I was like, this month is horrendous, but I think that's the only blip I think we've had a bit. But apart from that, like, the finances has been brilliant. Lauren's been working out like absolutely fantastically. So I think we've
got each other's backs, haven't we?
Yeah, we have 100%.
That's good, especially because there's the nerves of it being the first year. Like you say, when you first put that first post up on Instagram, everyone was like, "Oh shit!" You have no idea which way this is going to go now.
Yeah. I think with the lineup we managed to put together as well, I think we felt fairly confident that we've done quite well with putting something on that people are going to want to come and check out. So yeah.
I think it was quite a surprise as well, because when I delivered the vision to Lauren about the festival as well, half the bands that I was mentioning as well were female fronted, and Lauren seemed to take straight up onto that. So I think that's another reason why we've actually clicked so well on making the festival happen, because that's one big thing that we're really trying to portray, is the fact of we've actually got some really, really decent female artists on the lineup, but there's no like one or the other. We've got such a mix of people, and I just feel like a lot of people can sort of come together as a community on it. So I think that's what we're trying to build as well. And as crazy as it sounds, even after us mentioning the first lineup and sort of saying, "Oh, this is what it's going to be this year," we've already straight away started going, "Can't wait for next year! Can't wait," because we've got a lot of other artists that we've already looked at, and we just want to be able to give everyone the opportunity to see them. Yeah. It's just been crazy. It's absolutely been mental. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, speaking on what you were just saying, Adam, about having a lot of women on the lineup, that whole conversation was something that we looked at right from the very beginning as well, because it's something that I'm personally quite passionate about, being a woman working in the industry. And it's just a conversation that's still ongoing all the time. Like every day you're seeing stuff on Twitter about misogyny and not enough women on lineups, not enough women in crew. So for us to be able to put something together that we feel like is going to help to be a part of the change in a positive way is something that was always a main focus with this above everything else.
I think it's good as well. Like you say, you've got the diversity of, more bands with, female members in them. You've got people who are in the LGBTQ community, yes, and people of colour. And you've also got people not in bands, but working in the festival that are female stuff, and just diversity as well. Like it's something that arguably is getting better over the years, but there's still a lot of work to do. And even though you guys are, in the grand scheme of things, a small festival, it's, change has to happen somewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I feel anyway is so important that we all just continue to talk about it and just do what we can where we can. And then hopefully one day we'll get to a point where we won't have to have conversations like this.
Fingers crossed. I mean, it's 2023. Why is it still going on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is good to see, though, that our festival, compared to other festivals that have sort of been announced, that there is that broad scheme of the bands that we have actually on the lineup, because there is a lot of festivals that have sort of announced their own stuff, and you do see a lot of still very much male-fronted sort of festivals. There are still a lot of like the standard sort of generic sort of route that you go down with festivals, and I think like our festival being the very first one as well, I think it actually implies quite a statement, and I feel that's what me and Lauren are actually quite sort of strong about, is the fact of we want this to be a community. Like there's nothing more than what we want is this to be a community, and I think that's our main focus, and everyone that's there, obviously we're going to make them feel like a family, and that's definitely something that we've talked about. And I think that's what would stand us out from a lot of the other the festivals that have actually started going, is we want to actually come in with a bang and say, look, we're all friends here. There's no competition. We literally just want everyone to be happy and enjoy a great, great day of music, expand on it, but everyone to not be this whole competitive nature, being like, oh, we're playing here, or everyone on the festival has come together as friends. Like we're all in it together at the end of the day. And I think that's such a big statement to make. Because I feel like there's just so many people that look at things as competition. I think the world right now needs people to come together, and I think that's one big statement that we'll be trying to get across to people. Yeah,
I think it's good as well that you've got it's diverse in terms of genre as well. Like you've got a band like Graphic Nature, and you've got a band like Blighttown, and then you've got a band like Never Said, and you've got Lizzie Farrell, and you've got Dream State. Like you say, like there's just such a mix there that there's going to be something for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That was what we wanted really from this. It's mixed, but it's also within the same kind of family. I feel it's all the same kind of music that everybody likes. So within our scene anyway, in the alternative scene.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big old mates fest.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like you say, that it helps that it's kind of, at least to my knowledge, it's the first festival of the year, right? There's like a few all days and stuff like that, but this is the first kind of proper festival of the year.
Yeah, so that was actually something we looked at as well when we were picking a date for the festival. We were trying to make sure that we weren't going to clash with anything else going on, because there's so much now. There's new stuff popping up all the time. So to find a date where we could do something like we are without clashing with anybody was really important.
Yeah, because the festival scene is just getting more saturated
Yeah.
as the years go on, and then especially in the current climate now with the cost of living and stuff, people are more reserved in terms of where they're putting their money to buy tickets, like which festivals am I going to this year, because I can't go to as many as I normally would.
Yeah.
Was that kind of a concern as well? Because you've got a fight between all these big competitors, like there's Download, there's Slam Dunk, there's all these other ones.
It was a little bit, but at the same time, the capacity of our venue is so small that I don't think it was ever really a massive worry, because we're a 500 cap. That's as many as the Underworld can hold. So we can't go past that. And also a discussion we had on ticket prices as well. We wanted to make this as fair as possible for people. So I feel like we could have charged more for the standard of bands that we're given. We definitely could have upped the prices, but we didn't want to. We want it to be affordable for people. We want people to be able to come and experience this and have a good day out.
I mean, one thing I will say as well, Lauren did mention to me when we sat down, and we were very, very clear on this, was the fact of what can we make the lowest to make it a successful sort of thing. So we were actually looking at how low we could go with the tickets, actually more than how high we could go. And I think that's one thing that we definitely decided between us, the fact of we literally wanted people to come to a show where they've got all these unsigned artists or like signed artists on this lineup that we feel that are going to blow up. And we wanted to put them all in one room, but at the same time wanted to make it affordable for people in terms of like, right, okay, what's the lowest we can go that matches with our budget? And I think that sometimes festivals don't tend to do that. And I think like there's a lot of like sort of prices that here and there, which don't take in consideration actually what the lineup's supplying. Yeah. I think that's one thing that what me and Lauren sort of sat down and talked about is the fact of, how much would you want to go and see these bands for? What could make a great price to go and see these bands? But also at the same time, like you're getting your money's worth. Like the artists that we got on the lineup, you would want to pay that money to go and see that lineup. So I think that we took that into consideration really quite a lot, and that was quite a high priority of ours.
Yeah, ticket prices at the moment are insane. I can't even tell you the amount of money I spent on a Blink ticket at the end of last year. It's actually disgusting, but people do it. If people want to see these artists, they'll pay it, which I think is really sad because, like you said, we're going through a cost of living crisis, and people don't need to be taken advantage of, really.
I saw some of the Ticketmaster prices when, like things like Blink and I think Paramore as well was going on. Like some tickets were going for like £500-600 each. Yeah. It's like, I could go to 3 or 4 festivals in a year with that kind of money.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you guys ever worked in some capacity at a festival before this that's kind of helped lend to knowing how to get this up and running?
Yeah, Adam's shaking his head, but yeah, I have. So I actually as well come from the world of working at fan conventions, which in their own right run it quite similarly to festivals. So I learned a lot from that. And then was it last year or the year before I worked at Slam Dunk on Artist Liaison? I think it was last year. So that was a really good experience because I grew up going to Slam Dunk, and just little bits really from here and there. I work for Heavy Music Awards as well, so the running of that has helped with us sorting out the scheduling for Lume Fest.
Yeah, I think it's been one of them things that we sort of just clashed heads in terms of what has to be done. And I think job roles, like when you put 2 people together, you've got to be so careful because obviously there's some people that can get quite nitpicky about their own sort of role. Whereas I think with both me and Lauren, we sort of looked at it from what is your strength, what's not your strength, and then we sort of just combined it all in one really. So I think it's been quite interesting of how this has come together really, isn't it? I think personally.
Yeah, we're really lucky to have, so Martin Hall is our production manager, and we're really lucky to have him on the team. He's got over 20 years experience as a TM and a sound tech. So anywhere that we felt like we've needed someone to lean on, he's just stepped in straight away and helped us out. Down to like if we've needed to connect with somebody that he's known, he's put us in contact, or an answer about something to do with production or techie stuff, he'll always know the answer. It's been great.
That's good to have these people on your team that are willing to help out with the connections that they've kind of got. I think that's another part that's quite important in the music industry, that if you don't know someone, 9 times out of 10 there's someone that who does know them.
Yeah, definitely.
It was just really bizarre because me and Lauren, like when we come together, our first meeting about this whole festival, we took it to like a couple of people, and it was in the Black Heart, which is crazy because we all literally just sat around the table. And it was like introducing people, and it was like Lauren hadn't actually known any of the people that I knew, and then I hadn't known any of the people Lauren knew. So it was like, this is mad. Like, this never happens. So it was like just the fact of, Lauren knew a couple of stage managers. I knew Martin so well. So I sort of had the sound guy. She had like the stage managers, and we just sort of like went, here's a team. Like, it was just absolutely mental. When you normally go, oh, I know this person, I know this person. It was actually like, oh, I don't know this person, but you do, don't you? And it's like, yes, I do. And then, it just sort of clicked. It was really strange, but it was fantastic. It was, just mental, really.
Yeah. So. Martin found us both of our sound techs actually for the other venues.
Yes, he has.
Yeah. So he knew the right people to get involved as well.
So for people listening who are kind of interested in potentially doing like a festival of their own, what would you say is the best place to kind of start to get the ball rolling?
You got to be nuts to do it. You got to be not in your right mind. No, it's been great. It's really enjoyable. For me, I'd say you've got to be really organised and resilient, and almost not take no for an answer sometimes, because down to like waiting for people to reply to emails and stuff, it can slow down the whole process. You've really got to be on top of stuff. But I'd also just say as well about just building the team, like, and knowing that you can't do everything yourself. You need to have people there to lean on and support you and help with bits, because it is such a big thing. Like this first year, we're only in 3 venues. So it's basically like 3 shows happening. So like for me, it's quite normal to run a show at a venue. No stress, I could do that on my own. But to have 3 running at the same time with all these different productions, more bands than you'd normally have in a normal show, if I was doing that myself, it just wouldn't happen. So you need people, basically, is what I'm trying to get to with this. You need people, you need to be organised, you need to be resilient and not take no for an answer.
I would also add on top of that you really need to, I would say you've got to be honest. Like, one thing that Lauren's been very, very like straight up and forward about on the emails and stuff like that, you've got to be honest. You've got these bands in mind, you want them. But the thing is, you can't go to someone and say, oh, I've got Biffy Clyro, I've got Muse, like already booked. You haven't, you know what I mean? So we were literally going in saying, this is a brand new festival. This is what we want. This is who we've sort of secured or who we're talking to. Nothing's confirmed yet, but are you able to go for it? Or we would love for you to be a part of this. And I think that's one thing that what Lauren's definitely been sort of really on top of with the emails, is the fact of like, this is a brand new festival. However, this is our vision. If you make it work for the first year, we'll definitely buy you a cup of tea, like the future events. Do you know what I mean? It's been very like, we've just been very, very honest to the point of where, we're not taking the mick. We're literally saying, this is what I have. Can you help us? If you can, we'll definitely return the favour at a future date. So I think that's one thing that we've been very, very strong on more than anything.
Yeah, definitely. Something else I could say to somebody wanting to do their own festival would be start from the basics with it. So don't jump straight in and be like, oh, I'm going to go book this band. Oh, I'm going to do this, going to do that. You have to start with getting the venues and getting the date before you even think about who you're going to book on the lineup. Until you've got a date secured and you know where you're doing it, nothing else is going to work, because that's going to be the first thing that the agent asks you. Where's it happening? When is it happening? What time is my band going to be playing? So get all of that done first, and then start approaching bands and agents to be like, this is what we're doing. We want you involved.
Yeah, definitely.
Always a good start, like trying to book a band and say, when we're playing, I don't know yet.
It happens though. Like I've heard of promoters and stuff where they're very early on in learning how it all works, and people get excited about it and they rush at doing stuff, and then they go, oh, actually I've done that in the wrong order, I've done that the wrong way, and it kind of falls apart. So yeah, it's a learning process. You have to learn how to do these things.
And I think that's another thing that people need to take on board. You might be in a classroom full of people, but the moment until you step on that reality scale of what you need to do, the excitement's fantastic. It's great. That's what will get you to the end result. But you need to be realistic as to what you can do as a person, because like Lauren will probably tell you, she gets burnt out like all the time. And it's sort of like, it's not something to just take on board and go, I can do this myself. You really do need to put into consideration the team around you, what your strengths are, what your strengths are not are, like what your strengths aren't. But at the same time, you've got to be realistic, I think, on what you can do. And I think that's probably the most advice I'll give to anyone that's trying to start a festival is it's not easy. It's never going to be easy. But if it was, everyone would be doing it. But at the same time, when you actually finally hit your goals and rewards, like me and Lauren done, this has been in the making for a good sort of 6-7 months. When you hit that goal of like tickets are now on sale, to see all of your plans come together, I think is such a big thing for a person who's running a festival to be doing. But like I said, you've just got to be realistic and not get carried away, but enjoy the rewards that come with it, basically.
Definitely something that has to be done in a team effort. Like, no one's going to be able to run a festival on their own. Like,
No.
And if you think you can, then you're deluded at best.
Yeah.
So are there any bands in particular that you're hoping and looking forward to seeing on the day?
All of them. Me and Adam are going to be running around like headless chickens all day to kind of keep everything running and organised. But honestly, I feel like we've booked all of the bands that I pretty much listen to anyway. So it's going to be great being able to see them all. Like Lake Malice at the moment are one of my favourites. They're just insane live. Really, really great. Led by Lanterns. I actually met them a couple of weeks ago in person because we crossed paths on tours. So I'm excited to see them. I've not seen them live yet. And who else? Your Misery are another good one. They're opening the Underworld, so they're definitely worth coming down early to check out as well.
There's a good lineup there. Honestly, I think when I was looking at our own lineup, it was quite like just I feel like me and Lauren have been these people. We've put up these stage times, we put up these clashes, and I think it's us that have been looking at it the most, because we're like, who do we go and run to? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's been that sort of case where at the end of the day, we are going to be running around like headless chickens, making sure everything's all good. But at the same time, you've got to be excited for your own festival lineup, haven't you? Like, you've got to be like, right, I need to be there. Oh, I need to be there. I think me and my partner at the moment, we've actually like laid out a list of the bands that we want to go and see and want to sort of check out. So you've got to do that. You've got to do it. You've got to make your festival your thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't think anyone that doesn't want to do that is absolutely ludicrous. You've got to put on the lineup you want to go and see.
Yeah, you've got to be passionate about it, haven't you? Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. Why would you book a band that you hate? Like, I like, you've got to make a lineup that makes sense, but at the same time, it's also got to be bands that you would want to see. Because then you put that passion into actually trying to push the festival and people to actually come and see it with you.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So assuming all goes well, I mean, you kind of alluded to it during the conversation, but I assume there would be intentions to do Lume Fest next year.
That's the plan. Yeah. That's the plan.
We've already sort of spoke about it. I mean, I think within the first 2 months, I think me and Lauren actually got a bit too excited, and I think we both said actually over a message to each other, let's get the first year out of the way first.
Yeah.
I think it literally came down to like excitement message. And then at the bottom, it was like, well, let's be realistic. Let's focus on this first one first and get out of the way.
Yeah. We'd already started talking about who we wanted on our provisional list for next year. And then it's like, okay, wait, let's actually do this. And then, to be honest, the day after Lume Fest this year, me and Adam will probably sit down and be like, right, let's talk about next year. Let's get a date locked in. Let's make sure we can get our venues. And then we'll get to work on it. Yeah,
definitely. Well, thank you very much for your time, guys. I really appreciate it, especially so late in the evening as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Industry is 24/7. There's no time to sleep in this industry.
That's very true.
If anyone wants to get into the industry, there's a bit of advice. You do not sleep. It is non-existent. You will get emails at 3 a.m. and you will reply.
Sleeps for the week, that's what it is.
Love it.
So before I let you go then, are there any final words, anything you want to say, anything you want to plug?
Just come down to Lume Fest. We'd love to see you all there. It's going to be a moment in history for us because we're planning to do this for a very long time. So if you can be a part of the first one, it'd be amazing. And also, I think to anyone, if you look up me and obviously Lauren on Instagram or anything like that, come and say hello. I think that's probably the one thing that we will probably encourage. If you are in a band, if you're a fan, anything like that, literally just come and say hello to us. We'll chat, we'll do whatever, because at the end of the day, the festival is a community. That's it. We're a community at the end of the day. We're not these people that are going to be behind the curtain just overlooking everything. We are going to be there. We're going to be everywhere, and we want to meet people. We're going to be in the pit with you all.
Yeah. So I think that's the main thing.
Come down to Lume Fest, April 15th. Get your tickets online at, is it Dice FM they're on?
It's Dice, yeah.
Dice
Yeah.
FM. And yeah, sounds really exciting. And I'll see you two there as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Of course.
Thanks again, you two. Take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Cheers, Zach.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And that is it. Thank you so much for listening. Again, if you enjoyed this or any other episode of the podcast, then please leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to this. If you want to support the podcast further, you can go and give it a follow on social media, pick up something from the merch store, or subscribe to the Patreon to get early access to episodes. All the links can be found at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. Thanks again, hopefully catch you on the next one, and remember, it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle.